We will talk about types like people with wrong self-trust, people pleaser, energy vampires, and much more. So stay until the end and have joy. Today we talk about the different types of unconscious people. Besides their characterization, I will also talk about how they can harm you and how you can protect yourself against them. As first type of unconscious people, I want to mention people with wrong self-trust, people with much self-trust, which could even appear haughty or too much proud or negative proud even, because it's a wrong self-trust. Actually, it's an ego trust, you can say. They are only having self-trust based on their ego. I can so much, I know so much. Or they exaggerate even, I know everything about this world, I know how things work. And especially they believe they know better than others. And that leads them to become unfriendly to other people. So actually they are hopeless cases for the self-development, for the true self-development, because they already believe they know everything and they have the wrong self-trust. So they are not open for the true self. For that case, actually God has to bring them in a life crisis, or something must happen first that they will change, that they are even ready to change. But nobody, no person all over the world can help them. Even if you want to help these people, no chance. How they can harm you is that they need sometimes, from time to time, not always, some of them even have their own self-trust. They don't need others to bully or to push down, that they feel bigger. But some of them do, in the sense, as Jesus said, they want to make themselves great. And for that, they need another one who looks weak on their side. And so it can happen that in public places or in shops or anywhere, they try to look greater, better, while pressing someone else down. They always need a person who appear weaker. And the point is now, when you are on the path of development, and you are about humbling yourself, what is a great thing, but they use these kind of people, which are so nice and so lovely, always to make themselves bigger and greater. And that's why they try to harm you, only that they appear better. Actually, they are the opposite of people pleaser, which come next. The next one is the people pleaser. Actually, there are two kinds of people pleaser. One who expects a reward, and the other one is a real people pleaser. He just do it without any expectation. This is a true people pleaser, because this is kind of a divine habit. Maybe also you, or people who you know, which are so far developed, they are already people pleasing in that way, that they are doing it only for joy. They have inner joy and inner peace while helping others, while doing things for others, serving others. That is really a divine behavior, bodhisattva-like, or like kind of a earth angel, or however you name it. Several religions have different terms for it, but it can be a trap for the people pleaser on the one hand. Of course, the unconscious people tend to abuse people pleaser, the true people pleaser. And so for the people pleaser, it is not good. But also there are things you have to consider if you interact with such a people pleaser. These people sometimes are same as you, but sometimes it can happen they are even more pleasing. For example, I had the problem that there was a Christian woman and she was suppressing her negative emotions. And I'm so sensitive that I feel what others suppress. Whenever I'm in interaction and I'm in communication with people, I always feel emotions from others besides my own. This is working unconsciously. This is working on a spiritual level. The other one doesn't even know. Sometimes they don't even know about emotions. They are always suppressing all the time, the very unconscious people. And the little more conscious people, there are some, like very good Christians, which want to be only one-sided. We only want to be good, and we suppress all the bad stuff. I don't want to have the anxieties because I believe my God is helping me. Okay, when you really trust, but when you not really trust and you only say it to yourself and suppressing the anxiety, suppressing the anger, because anger counts in Christianity as one of the worst demons or emotions. And so they say, because anger is aggression, anger can have the outcome of aggression. So they say anger is a bad emotion. And then people start to suppress the anger. But the problem is the anger doesn't go away just because it is suppressed, as you know from other videos and from Carl Jung and all these scientists, that whatever we suppress, it grows in the unconscious, and suddenly the bomb explodes. And then what can happen when the person is still good? That is fine, because then they don't harm others, but they will end up in psychiatry because they have suppressed so much anger. And it can happen that it becomes a kind of a self-hate, or kind of, you know, when you only please others and never care for yourself. This is also not good. And this is why I say so much people pleasing is not good. But what now is for you dangerous to deal with such a people pleaser? But what for you now is so important when you deal with such a people pleaser, which is over people pleasing? That is the thing. When you are already so sensitive through meditation and all of your development, then you will suffer on the spiritual level from the suppressed stuff of the over people pleasers. So be careful not to interact too long with them. You will even feel, when you are too many hours with them, you will feel there is something on the spiritual level which attacks you, if you are so sensitive, and you will feel, how can it be from this nice person? But you will see again and again, when you meet the same person, the same things will happen. But this is only because the person suppresses too much. When the person is far developed and really interacts out of her or himself from the inside, not only considering, I want to be good, I want to be good, I want to reject bad, I want to reject bad. So when it's not this duality of good and bad, and not this dual thinking, when this is gone and already, and this person is so far developed that he or she is so much in meditation and so almost enlightened, when the person is not thinking so much anymore, when the person is more meditating the whole time and taking things not too serious, and then this person, you will feel there is a better energy. Then of course you can interact with this person as long as you want, when you feel there comes a good energy. But when you feel only there is suppressed stuff, the person on the surface appears so nice, so nice, so friendly, but you feel that is not true nice. There is something else. The person is suppressing something. Then this is not good. And as well as with the other personalities which are unconscious and have certain behaviors, you also should try to avoid or to reduce the times with that person, not to spend too much time with the person, because it will harm your spiritual energy. But I don't want to only hack on the Christians again. The point is, all people can be like this. It can also happen someone is not religious, and this person only has a strict childhood, had a strict childhood in the past, and only tries to adjust. And there are only mindsets and beliefs which the person thinks that he or she has to behave good and he has to adjust to others, so otherwise he will be lonely because nobody likes him. So sometimes it's also only on a psychological level that just normal people which have no tendency to any religion or to any certain thing, they are just thinking that they have to behave good, they have to adjust to others, and so they are over people pleasing also. But this is more in the direction of expecting a reward, the other kind of people pleasing. It doesn't appear so. It appears more like, yeah, the person is nice, but you also feel there's something of a bad negativity also behind. What is that? What is that? You must feel here more sensitive to figure out how it is, what it is, because sometimes it is only that the person feels very lonely and the person tries to find people, or believes when he or she adjusts so much, then life will be better and he will get more friends. So he's looking for a reward, actually, and this is more friends. It can also be that people are even worse people pleasers and searching rewards like money. That can also be. Nowadays, it's not so much anymore that traders or shop owners try to entangle you in a positive way, that you are fine and come here and sit in my shop, drink a tea or so. Sometimes, yes, it is like this, but sometimes they are only friendly. They are not having the back thought of they want to sell you something or make kind of a wrong friendship. But sometimes even this can happen. They want to entangle you only that you buy something. They are only friendly. So they are not real friendly. So they are also unconscious, because they are not agreeing with what is inside of them, what is in their heart. They only want the money. They are not even standing for the product they sell. Better thing would be, you are on the same level that what you sell is also something what you would prefer, what you like, when you love your product, when you are a seller in that case, when someone loves his product, then he will sell it with heart, and he will try to create win-win situations that not only he has the money and the customer has something bad. No, he will also think he sells so good things, and the customer will have joy with the thing and will feel still afterwards, will feel the money was good invested in that thing. So when you are thinking this product is very good, and also the trader is thinking it is good, then it's a win-win situation, and it's also good. And for this also, people pleasing is okay. But the wrong people pleasing is when there is a bad trader who only tries to get the money and sells crap. That would be the very worst case of people pleasing. In that case, the Christians are even better with the suppressed stuff. Well, let's come now to the next.
The next type is the wrong conscious people. You know, nowadays there are many people who believe who are already enlightened just because they had an experience of union with God, or they had some of them. And yes, indeed, they are on the path of enlightenment. But the whole enlightenment they don't have yet. They only believe they are already enlightened because they are on the path. But the thing is, when you are really enlightened, you get the full control if you want to stay the universe, if you want to stay in the union with God, in the enlightenment, or if you want to go with your consciousness back to the body and to be the normal human consciousness as all people are. And you can switch whenever you want. When you want to go back to that union, you can do it all the time. But those ones, like me and you, which had only a few experiences of this union and which have no absolute control to go here or there, are not fully enlightened, are just on the path. And that's a misunderstanding. But that is one thing and one kind of conscious people who believe who are already enlightened. And there is another kind of conscious people which are not about enlightenment, which are only think that being conscious is a good thing, and they have read about consciousness, and they want to develop with self-reflection, introspection, as well as the people who are on the path of enlightenment also strive to work on themselves. This conscious people, which I mean with wrong conscious people, also work on themselves, but they are only working on their ego. They are not knowing from the higher self. They are not interested in higher consciousness. They only believe that the consciousness is only up to the mind, it's only up to our thinking, and they start with conscious thinking and to develop and to make conscious decisions and to reflect about ethical things. And that is not too bad, but that's kind of a wrong consciousness because it is only limited to the human consciousness. And that's a trap because they don't go the full path. These people can be even religious, but they are still limited to their ego, to their mind, to their thinking, which they believe is the consciousness already. But they don't know that God is the highest consciousness and that they can go in the union with God, what all mysticals of all traditions, all religions actually said, but they have totally ignored it. They are still living in ignorance, believing living conscious is good. Even living in the here and now, it's also a practice which they only limited to human consciousness. And that's a big trap, because when you are in the here and now and you are still you, that means you are still the ego which is in the here and now, then it is a wrong practice of being present. The true presence is in the absolute silence, in the connection with the higher self. And that's another trap, to go in that wrong, in this ego thing which says I am present now, but still the I is there. And enlightenment is about giving up the I and go in the absolutely union, in the devotion that you can be one with God. But the thing is that these people are not so dangerous for you because they are already conscious, and even if they are only conscious egos, but they are further than most of the people, further than all the unconscious people. That's the good thing. So they are not haughty and they don't have this negative proud about themselves, and they will not be such a big obstacle for you than other personalities, other types of unconscious people. Still, they are counting as unconscious, even they believe they are conscious, but they are unconscious because they are not about the higher consciousness. You can figure them out while talking about higher consciousness. They will block in this topic. They don't want to know about that. Sometimes it can even happen they will not like you anymore if you talk about that. So you can see that's the wrong kind of conscious people. And they actually basically can't harm you. They can just be or just feel pissed when you talk about that, and then they go away. And also it can happen you have good conversations with them, you can talk with them, they are interesting, they have interesting interests, so they are not too bad. It's not a waste of time to spend time with them. Even they can learn from you, you can learn from them. It's not too bad. But in long term, they will not support you to your highest goal. And so it is better to find people who are on the path to enlightenment, who really want it. This will be more supportive for you. Consider life as if we were all sitting in a rushing train. The train is rushing all the time. When we get born, we are sitting automatically in that train. And there are many stations, and we hold in this station, which is maybe called kindergarten, and another station is called school, and another station is the work, and you know how to make the families and these things. But the point is, we believe that this is the only way, that we are living on this train, and one day we are dying, and we are not knowing what we're actually wanting on this train. There are only very few people who suddenly stop and suddenly jump off the train and think, why are we actually in this train? What is the purpose of this train? Is it really the stations which people tell us we have to go, or is there something more? And this is when you come to the point to realize that there must be something more, which is called in the religions and in the philosophies the enlightenment, a kind of a higher consciousness mode. But people tell you all of the stations which are good for the ego, to gain the knowledge, to get a good job, and to make a family. So everything that you have, everything. But it is, you have nothing, because these are all things you will lose. Latest with death, you will lose everything, every certification, all of your children, all of everything. You will lose, definitely. That's why Hiob said, naked we came to the earth, and naked we will also leave. Of course, because these are all material things we can gain. We can be happy for a period of time, or we can even unhappy. Maybe you get bad children, then you will be unhappy with your children. Many people plan things and do whatever they can, and at the end they have bad results. So you never know what happens. That's one aspect. But the next aspect is it's all for nothing, because at the end of the life you will die, and your undieable soul, which survives, will not have any benefit of these things anymore. Everything will start from new, and everything you have to do again and again, new certifications and so on. And so this is why I say the train as a short story. And those people who never ask and are still on the train and feeling fine with the train, they are, let's name them, equal types, because they are equal. They think, so people say we have to do this station and that's all, and so life works. And they are not questioning about that. Everything is equal for them. They think, okay, one day maybe even they got depressed. Even then they say, oh, life is as it is and I have to bear it. And so they are depressed and they don't know any way out until their depression drives them to ask more, to get in a life crisis and really ask these basic questions. Who am I really? And then the true journey begins, which is beyond the train in this story. But the equal type is absolutely feeling hopeless, having thoughts of hopelessness. And only some of them come to the idea to question about that. But most of them remain hopeless and remain in their stations and in the train and doing all these things, and still they don't know why, and they are that's why the whole mankind, almost the whole mankind, is kind of depressed, because they are all in this train, don't knowing what they are doing there. But some of them let themselves trigger by kind of good things, which are not really good, but which are partially good for a short time. And this is, for example, you see, when you go through the world, most people in the world, they have a phone in their hand, and they are watching their short videos, and they are seemingly happy. They are not really happy because they don't know about the true happiness, about the enlightenment, which is a consciousness state. They are only believing to get another joke and to get another funny thing, and to, they are just clicking through their phone, having this short happiness, and then they are almost happy, and that's enough for them. Still, this equal about what's going on in the train, what's going on in their life. They are fleeing from their life in the phone, create a kind of a new life there, which is not the truth, which is even more illusion than the train life. And what is dangerous on these people for you is actually not too dangerous, but it can have a dangerous effect from the part of hopelessness. Because when they are so depressed and feeling hopeless, and you are such a sensitive person on your development, you feel the hopelessness in the people, but you can't even talk with them. You try to talk with someone about higher things that to help this person out of that train thinking in the story, of the illusion when you take it in real life. But the people, they don't want to know about it. Oh no, I don't want to know. They want to stay blind. They are blind, and they want to stay blind, and that's the problem. You can't really help them. You can try, but most of them will not. They don't want to be helped. They believe that this is their worldview. They believe this, and that's perfect for them. Even if they are depressed, they don't want to go out. They don't want to be helped, and that's the problem. They can pull you even down in their hopelessness when you try to help them. So it is dangerous, for example, for you to work in a hospital which is for mentally ill people, or in any branch which is for mental ill people, because there are all the depressed people together, which are actually so close to the goal to find out of the illusion. Because when you're already depressed about this life, this is also an opportunity, but most people don't see the opportunity. They want to hang around in their sadness, and they are even addicted in their sadness, and that's the problem. And that's why it is so hopeless for you then to help them, because they want to hang still in their hopelessness, and this can also cause hopelessness in you. And so that's why I say you have to avoid them as best as possible. The next type is the follower. The follower type is a very unconscious person who only adjusts to his environment, and whatever attracts him most, he will adjust to. And unfortunately, this world nowadays provides so many wrong things on which people can adjust and which attract people. So you can see, you open your YouTube app and it shows you so many different things, but only few things about higher truths. But you have yourself under control already, because you are on this inner development. But most people are not, and many of them, they are only followers and just look at what the news bring, what's about politics, and what is the latest funniest stuff in the YouTube app, or in the TikTok, or in any of these apps. But basically, the follower is not harmful. It depends. When he has the tendency to be a bad guy and he adjusts to a bad group of people or something, then of course this person can be harmful. But when this person adjusts to a good thing, for example, he's a follower of a religion, this is not basically good. As you know, I also say and talk about my criticism on religions, that it also can lead to ignorance and to rejecting others, rejecting other religions, rejecting other people. So religion basically is not at all good, but it is better than adjusting to bad guys. So it can happen that the follower type only adjusts to a religion, and then it can happen this person is a good person, but not good from out of himself, because still there is not the connection to the inner thing, to his true self. He's only good on the surface with the Christian people or with the religious people. But in that case, he is not harmful to you. Only, of course, he could be a waste of time when you talk with him, and he's always about his religion is so good and religion is the only good thing and blah blah blah. And he's so entangled in a religion, and you are free, you are thinking about the higher consciousness, and you are trying to not think, but instead to overcome the thinking and to reach the higher consciousness. And this person can go you on your nerves when he's always talking about his religion. But this is not too harmful. Maybe he can even learn from you.
The next type of unconscious people, the nice alpha. It's a boss actually, and it can be good or bad. But to that in 1 minute. The main characteristic is that the nice alpha tries to overwhelm his soul, actually, his inner parts, with talking. They talk so much the whole day. They call so loud when they are calling. So they are always active in speaking, talking, because they don't want to see what are their thoughts, what the thoughts are doing there unconsciously. They are frightened from them even. So they play on the outside world, the nice alpha. And often they even know very much, or they believe sometimes to know, because you must know something when you want to talk so much. So they talk and talk, and so they know. Sometimes they are really knowing a lot, but sometimes they are only playing and only talking crap whole day. And some of them even believe that whatever they do, that this has a good influence for the world, or a bad influence for others and a good for oneself. That depends now on the personality. Is the nice alpha only nice alpha played for narcissist reasons, or is it a nice alpha out of anxiety? It can be also a good nice alpha, which has really intentions to make the world a better place, but only also to run away from himself, to not look inside of himself. So he tries to do something good to the outside, and when he has the alpha position, he's a boss, then he's using this position also to run away from himself. But the narcissist as well does the same. Here you can see all the types can even be splitted in more types. So types of people are actually endless, but in this video we have to limit it to a few certain types, which you maybe see sometimes more often in everyday life. These type of alpha boss can be politicians, it can be businessmen, sometimes, and some of them even can become angry very easy. How they harm you? That depends, first of all, on the personality. If it is a bad nice alpha, which has bad intention behind, it's a narcissist, then in long term it's not good to deal with them. But if it is a good alpha and you have such a boss, like making a world better guy, so that would be not too bad to be entangled even longer.
The next type is the energy vampire. There are many types of energy vampires and many YouTube videos about this, but there are two basic types, and I don't want to count all the many energy vampire types, but only the two basic types. The first type is a real bad energy vampire, kind of a narcissist. He really doesn't like when other people have joy or when other people have a good life. And at the same time, he always tries to make his life better, but for that others have to suffer. So you can say this person is really full of negativity. And there are also many videos about narcissism, so that's why I don't make an extra video for that. Instead, let's come to the second type, and the second type of the energy vampire is actually not an energy vampire. Better you can say it's a relative energy vampire. It is that for some people, other people appear stealing energy, but it's only their own ego which pulls them energy when they are in contact with a certain person, because they are angry for no reasons. Their ego is just reacting on something, but they are not aware about that. And so this person only appears as vampire for the person, and they say they are always blaming he's a vampire, and this channel is not about blaming. So that's why I say it only appears as a person would be a vampire, but he is not. I came to that point once when I saw a video about energy vampires, that some people say or count many types, and in other videos you can say there are counted different types, and I could see that there was especially the opposite characteristic, which one person say that's an energy vampire, and another person has another characteristic and says this kind of person. So for example, there was one person saying people who are speaking so fast are pulling me energy, that's an energy vampire. And in the other video, the person was saying people who are speaking so slow are pulling me energy, so he's an energy vampire. So that's actually the opposite, and it's relative. It's only the standpoint of the person who is blaming that others are energy vampires. So they are not really energy vampires, they are only appearing to you or to any person as a vampire, but only because of the attitude of the person and only of reactions of the ego. So actually the true vampires are only the narcissists, which I have counted in at the beginning. What is the danger now for you? The danger is, of course, as the name says, they steal your energy. And to protect your energy, what you do, you try to avoid as best as possible, especially narcissists. What you can do with the person who's not really a vampire, you have to look inside of you and to develop to your higher self, because then you become more tolerant to the opposite. Like in this example, if you don't like people who speak too slow, you should look videos from enlightened people like Osho also, which really speak very slow, and you should learn to bear it more and more, because this would be very good for your development and for your tolerance, and this will develop you in the whole.